it's Jess from Meyer Hatchery. The heat of summer is just around the corner. And today I want to talk about some tips when it comes to heat stress and your flock. We want to make sure not only to protect ourselves from the heat, but we want to help our flock stay nice and happy and healthy and cool during the summertime. There are a few things you want to keep in mind when it comes to keeping your flock nice and cool. But the first thing I want to talk about is the signs of heat stress. So when you're looking at your flock, you want to make sure that they are active and going about their daily routine. If you notice that maybe they're not eating as much or they're panting excessively, so they will pant a little bit when it is really hot outside, but if you notice that they're doing it a lot or maybe their breathing is a bit labored, they're too hot. You're also going to notice if a bird is experiencing heat stress that their comb may be pale or laying down. You may notice that their droppings are kind of more watery, and these are all the signs that you need to make sure you take the right steps in your coop to keep your flock nice and cool. Now, our birds are pretty good at keeping themselves cool. They know, at least my birds, they know where the shade is, so they are really good about finding the shade. You may notice that your birds will stand there with their wings out, kind of like this. That's helping them stay cool. And as I mentioned, you may see them pant 1 or 2 times. That's just kind of helping cool off a little bit. But if any of those signs are excessive, that means that your flock is too hot and you need to cool them down. Some of the things that you want to do in your coop to help your coop and your flock stay nice and cool include, we always talk about it, ventilation. Make sure you have really good ventilation in your flock or in your coop, and that your flock is getting the right amount of airflow through that coop. If you live somewhere that's very hot, you can even add a fan to your coop. That'll help push that air around and keep your flock nice and cool. Another thing that you can keep an eye on when it comes to your coop is the placement of your coop. Back when you're building your coop, you want to think about those really hot days in the summer, and is there a part of that coop that is going to be in the shade and that my flock is going to be kept nice and cool in a shady area? If you have a movable coop, it's even better because you can move your coop somewhere that's shady. You can also do things like put up a shade cover or put covers on the run of your coop. Just those little extra steps kind of help your flock get that extra shade they need to stay nice and cool. Another thing is you want to keep an eye on their feed and their water. So make sure when you're offering their feed that you're giving them the right protein for their age. You're not giving them too much protein, which could cause them to heat up a little bit. You want to watch those treats that have lots of corn and things like that, because that's going to create excess heat. And so for us, we usually back off on things like scratch during the summertime because they don't really need that, and we offer them more fresh treats. When you are offering treats, take a look at things like fruit and vegetables. I know our flock loves the fresh fruit and vegetables. I like to put those fruits and vegetables in ice cube trays and pop out those ice cubes and put it in their water or put it in a little container for them, and they love that nice treat. Another thing you can do is you can freeze whole blueberries and float those in the water, and peas too. Not only do my chickens love that, my ducks love it as well. Make sure your flock has really good, cool, fresh water, and this may mean changing out the water a couple times during the day, but having that fresh, cool water is just going to be so helpful for them and help them stay cool when they're outside. Another thing you can do is you can put electrolytes in their water, such as Vital Pack. That's going to help them get a little bit of a boost, especially on those extreme hot days. When it comes to your coop, we talked about the placement of your coop and covering the run. Another thing to keep in mind is you want to kind of reduce the amount of bedding in there. So you're making sure that you're cleaning your coop very often, but also, I know for me personally, I kind of back off on the amount of pine shavings I'm using, unless it's for the nest box where my hens are, and I put just a little bit in their housing area. I try to make sure that there's not too much bedding in there that can create extra heat in the coop. Another thing that's very important, and I learned this the hard way a couple years ago, is you have to watch chicken math. Make sure that you have the proper amount of birds in your coop for the coop that you have. If you have too many birds, you think, oh, I can stick a few extra in there. It's not going to be good for your flock when it is 95 degrees outside and everybody's fighting for a shady spot or they're bumping into each other. So make sure that you have the right amount of birds in your coop and you control your chicken math. The last thing that you want to remember during the summertime is to reduce stress. So you want to make sure that the food and water is easy to get to. There's not a lot of stressors outside of the coop. There's some things that we can control and obviously some things we can't. But do whatever you can to keep your flock as calm and as comfortable as possible during those really, really hot days. If you have any questions about your flock and heat stress, let us know in the comments below. It's time for me to go finish getting my coop ready for the summer. Thank you so much for watching.